Okay, I'll be going over some brief things on concrete preservation at Washington State DOT. Just a few of the basic facts with regard to concrete in Washington. It's about 13% of our total state maintained network. They're in the most high traffic locations, so it's high priority situations where we really want to monitor risk. About 36% of our concrete pavements have had preservation. Making up that 36% is about 17% DBR, 11% grinding, and 8% panel replacement. 64% of our concrete pavements have been untouched since construction. And since Halloween is coming up, I put in red here as a scary note is that 50% of our concrete network is over 40 years old. So we are in a precarious situation with our concrete. Our intent is to keep extending the life as much as we can. So we're heavily into different kinds of preservation, but up till now, we have had real budget constraints. I say up till now, there's always budget constraints, but Washington just passed an 11-cent gas tax just in earlier this year. So we have some additional revenue. Some of that's for preservation. Unfortunately, our legislature decided that 85% of that is going to improvement projects, and only 15% of that new money is going to preservation. Although if you've driven in Seattle, you know there's a big need for improvement in our transportation systems. So money's needed everywhere. So we will have some money coming up that hopefully we'll be able to address some of the backlog we have with our concrete reconstruction. So we have a term for concrete preservation in Washington called triage. Some other places have adopted that too. And this is a picture of a triage tag that's used during medical emergencies. The different categories you see down here at the bottom. If you're ever in an airplane accident and you wake up and you've got a black tag on, you're in bad luck because you're headed to the morgue. Which from a pavement perspective is really past resuscitation. That's reconstruction's required. Immediate means it's life-threatening. Delayed means serious but non-life-threatening, and minor is walking wounded. So we kind of use this approach to our concrete pavements as we look out into the future. We tend to try to bundle these needs into multi-million-dollar triage projects. So these are big capital projects, but we try to bundle up a lot of our needs. And Larry did a really good job yesterday going over different types of techniques and procedures with pavement preservation for concrete. So I won't need to go into these in really detail. He did a good job of covering those. So one is selective panel replacement for structural failure. So when you see that with all the traffic control, you can see in this picture and all the mobilization, we don't want to be out there for one or two panels. We want to bundle those up into a number of panels for a given project. We've done quite a bit of dowel bar retrofit in Washington. Those projects do include grinding. So when I mentioned grinding as a separate type of treatment, I'm talking about just grinding alone. All of our DBR projects include grinding. But we found that we get better results if this is done earlier, and by earlier, I mean probably less than 20 years of age, that if we try to DBR late in the pavement life, we get shorter periods of life extension. And we've gone through, we think, most of the DBR needs that we have, but we have a lot of grinding needs that we still need to do, and that's another big category that we have. We start evaluating grinding when ruts reach half an inch. but unfortunately they get deeper than half an inch. We used to have a section in Spokane, and maybe some of you have driven on it, which was like a self-driving. You take your hands off the wheel and the ruts would drive your vehicle automatically up the road. But that was not a feature. It was something that we had to take care of. But now that section of I-90 going up the hill towards the airport out of Spokane is now in much better shape. But we have big grinding needs due to our studded tires. Another thing I'll touch on just a little bit more is sealing and patching. Most of this is done in temporary, so this is not bundled with our capital projects. This is something that our maintenance forces do, so I'll go into a little more detail. I am going to mention a particular product here. This is a Eurofast polymer concrete, and this is their website, liquidconcrete.com. I don't mean to specifically mention one particular product. I'm sure there are other products on the market, so this is not an endorsement. I'm sure there are other products that can do similar type of objectives, but this is a product that's worked well for us, and so I wanted to show a little bit more in detail about what we've done with sealing and patching. We put it in some situations where we ask it to do a lot, and this is kind of a severe example. You can see that this pavement has been DBR'd in the past. You can see where the dowel bars were installed, but this panel needs to be replaced. There's no doubt about it. It's way past time for that, but sometimes as we are managing our pavements, we need something temporary. And so this Eurofast material, we've been using it for probably over 10 years now. We use it on bridge decks, and showing an example of the installation. It's a polymer concrete. Here you can see our maintenance screws. First, it's constructed with first a specifically graded aggregate. So if the voids are big enough, they will place the aggregate by hand, and then after the aggregate's in there, then they will flood the area with this polymer. It's described on their website as a polyurethane hybrid polymer. So that's about as much as information that they have. That it's a proprietary product. One of the disadvantages is it's very expensive. If you compare a cold mix, throw and go, versus this product, we're probably talking about an order of magnitude, 10 times the cost, but the performance has been very good. This is what it looks like after they've placed the material. In about 20 minutes, you can turn it back over to traffic, so it's a very short time period. But the main thing that we have found with it is its longevity. This is an example here of another location, not quite as severe as the first slide I showed you, but you can see there's a lot of distress here where we've got locations where we're basically trying to hold the concrete together so it's not flying apart and causing a hazard. And this is an example here of a couple of years later of the condition of the patch. What we've found is that we can trust it pretty well for a period of 2 to 4 years. So for that, 2 to 4 years is a pretty good longevity when you're dealing with these tough conditions. This is I-90 near Snoqualmie Pass. So this is rugged, really kind of a brutal environment for a pavement, and it's held up well, and our maintenance crews like to use it, so they've developed a lot of confidence with it. This is another patch that was done in 2005. You see this image was in 2013, so there's 8 years. So it really can provide something that's where the intent is temporary, but we still get some pretty good long-term life. So That's just an example of one of the products that we use. That's it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. If you want to go back.